For this piece, my recording setup was a flute, my Shure microphone, Pro Tools, a toothbrush, and a backdrop sheet as a sound buffer. The toothbrush was used to create the percussion sound by tapping it on the head section of the flute. I used a compressor throughout the piece to remove some of my breaths from the sections, as well as some of the hiss from the flute in the softer sections. I also used a compressor to smooth out the strong dynamic change that occurred as the flute transitioned in between its registers. I used a different EQ setup on each track to bring out a different tone and sound for each section of the piece, focusing on either the attack of the upper register, the body of the sound, or a mixture of the two, helping to distance the sound from the typical flute tone. This separation of tone was also created by utilizing a pitch shift in the upper registers, rather than just merely playing it in the upper register. I also added a pitch shift down to the lower register to create even more pitch change. The reverb also changes throughout the piece by starting with a semi-wet sound that creates a feel of ambiance, and then by adding a wetter sound later on to the different sections to create a richer ambiance and the sound of a different space. I also used a filter gate modulation to change the final melodic content and an air chorus modulation to alter the counter melody to complete the transition away from the typical flute sound. The piece was completed by a return to its original state, because I wanted to create a feeling of losing center and finding oneself again.